Good morning, guys. This is Sergeant Merrill, and today I'll be taking the Mosin Nagant to the range and sharing my first impressions of this classic rifle. Ladies and gentlemen, let me please welcome to the stage the Mosin Nagant. This is such a classic rifle that I'm not even sure if it needs explaining. This is one of the most popular bolt-action rifles in the entire world. I mean, guys, we're talking about a rifle that's been used in just about every single war since World War I. It was developed by the Imperial Russian Army around 1882, and it's just been seen everywhere ever since. It's just one of those rifles that is a happy marriage between wood and steel and is gonna last. Now, there are a lot of variants of the Mosin Nagant. We've certainly seen a lot happen with this rifle over the years from multiple different countries. Although this particular one is modeled more after the model 1891, the most popular version of the Mosin Nagant. And let me just say right off the bat that this rifle, after firing quite a few rounds through it, is not delicate by any means. This rifle is no princess. This has been around the block. It's been dropped. It's been beaten. It's taken abuse over just decades and decades of probably having multiple different users before my friend Matt here got a hold of it. So it doesn't look pretty anymore. And it certainly doesn't act pretty because this thing has just an unforgiving recoil. As you can see, that metal plate that's on the buttstock. It just offers no forgiveness. If you don't tuck this thing in tight and shoot it right, it's going to make you pay for it. But the rifle also comes with a certain amount of respect, because if you do treat it correctly, it's going to treat you correctly. This thing, I mean, after all the abuse it's taken, as busted up as this rifle may appear, is dead on accurate with iron sights. It also, of course, fires a full-powered rifle cartridge, this one being the 7.62 by 54 millimeter, not to be confused with the NATO round, which is 7.62 by 51. We all know the Russians like to do their own thing, but in this case it works out, and it makes the weapon very versatile. I mean, knowing that the cartridge is going to put your target down, and also combined with how rugged and tough this rifle is, also makes it a very, very popular hunting rifle. So even though it may not see the military use that it has in its past, it's still one of the most popular bolt-action and affordable rifles on the market today. It's also still really popular with weapon enthusiasts like myself because it's just a blast to shoot. Kind of like when you're holding the M1 Garand or the Springfield. You feel like you're holding a bit of history in your hands, and that's really cool. Almost like you're stepping inside of the shoes of some of the people who use this rifle and were incredibly accurate and devastating with this rifle. One in particular pops into mind. His name was Vasily Zaitsev. Probably butchered his name. But he was a famous Soviet sniper in World War II, and this guy killed hundreds of Axis soldiers. Some at 900 meters or beyond. That's 9 times beyond the target you see me shooting at here. And that's just incredible. That, of course, was probably using a scope, which we're not today. We're just using the iron sights, and we're only at 100 meters just because I want to get a feel for the rifle. I do want to try and get a grouping together, but it's more about getting a feel for the trigger, for the recoil, and getting a little intimate with the weapon. Which I can tell you, here in the beginning, the trigger surprised me. It's got kind of a long draw to it, and there's not a crisp break, which surprises me in the beginning. So check it out.
Oh, I wanted to yank it there, dude. It's getting me every time. That one scared me.
So something that I always say is that if the weapon scares you, it's a good thing. It means you weren't flinching for the recoil. It means you weren't trying to overcompensate, which will often lead to a bad trigger pull. You'll kind of yank it to the right, trying to flinch and prepare yourself for the recoil.
See what you're talking about, dude. You almost want to just finish pulling the trigger real quick just to get it over. That's a long... That's a long
It takes forever. You'll figure it out though after you pull it a couple times. You know you'll figure out, okay, when I'm here I'm not full, and then that last...
It has just like a little final jump at the end.
Yeah.
The only problem with the Mosin Nagant is if you don't keep it tucked in real tight the whole time, that surprise is going to involve a bruise on the shoulder. So my first challenge with the Mosin Nagant was the trigger squeeze. I'm kind of used to the two-stage combat trigger with something that has a draw to it, at least on a rifle. Whereas where you pull it back a little bit, it's got a draw, and then it's got a little break. Like a little period in which you got to give it a little bit more oomph to get past it. Once you do, you know the rifle's going to go off. Not the case here. You pull back, you pull back, you pull back, and then boom, it surprises you. No break, just a round going off. It takes a little getting used to, but once you do, and you take your time with it, it just makes for outstanding groupings.
Start that one low. Yeah, I think it's about 5, 6 low. Yeah.
So something you'll hear kind of often while I'm shooting is, man, that was low. Man, that was low. And that doesn't mean that I'm shooting it wrong. If your groupings are deviating horizontally, usually means a bad trigger squeeze. If they deviate from the grouping vertically, it can mean, you know, a bad shot between breasts. It can mean a couple different things. But if they're all grouped close together, it means you're shooting right. You just need to adjust the iron sights. And that's not something I was going to do because it wasn't my rifle. But it still didn't stop me from really enjoying this rifle. I mean, it surprised me. When he first pulled it out and I kind of saw its condition, it's not in really bad condition, but it's nothing you're going to see at a museum. I was surprised by how it performed. Whenever I can zero a weapon within 9 shots, that's outstanding. I mean, I'm not one of those really, really accurate people. I think I'm fairly good with firearms and a multitude of different firearms, but I'm no sniper, you know. And I say that because I think it needs to be said. I think some people get the wrong impression from my videos that I'm trying to say that everything that I do is the correct way to do this. Absolutely not. I'm human and I'm still learning every day. I have a lot to learn. And I have bad habits that I combat every time I go to the range. So for someone like me to be able to zero a rifle within 9 rounds, it says something really good about it. So here with this particular grouping, I used sandbags because I was trying to eliminate any type of user error. Maybe I was aiming on the iron sights wrong. You know, maybe I was bouncing back and forth when holding the rifle. I just wanted to eliminate any of that and see if my grouping was exactly where I thought it was. So in the comment section, let me know what you think of the Mosin Nagant, especially with its resurging popularity with games like DayZ and Rising Storm. What do you enjoy about this rifle? What quirks do you like or dislike about it? And how would you like to see it represented in games and popular culture in the future? But that's all I have for this video, guys. Really hope you enjoyed it. This is Sergeant Merrill, out here.